Picturesque, vibrant and brimming with a modern culture that Stanford Raffles would only dream of. Welcome to the Marina Bay area of Singapore, a gateway to Southeast Asia, and this week a city that plays host to the Singapore Open, drawing the very best badminton players from all over the world. Well, we're inside the Singapore Indoor Stadium, which has held this event since 1990, now the 32nd edition of this tournament in the modern era of the sport, that is, since 1987. And this year, a tournament elevated to a Super 750 on the BWF calendar. Well, that's today's order of play here on Court 1 with 10 matches lined up from now and into this evening. Women's doubles gets the action underway. A third meeting between the Aimsaard sisters and the times world champions Chen and Ji Fan. The dominant force from China have never won the Singapore Open. This week might be one for the bucket list. Two stars for the future go head-to-head for the first time in the men's singles next. Last year's Singapore Open finalist Kodai Narioka spent a month at world number 3 recently. His opponent, Priyanshu Rajawat, is still bouncing with confidence after taking the Orleans Masters title in April. In the men's doubles, it's a repeat of the second round match at the Malaysian Masters a fortnight ago. Two former world number 1 pairs clash for a 15th time today as Gideon and Sukamolio take on Hoki and Kobayashi. Two-time Singapore champion Tai Tzu Ying got off to a good start yesterday. Gregoria Tungjung will need to take her first ever games off the former world number 1 to make it through this women's singles matchup. And in a second men's singles, two players still searching for their best this year. It's a 10th meeting between the 5th seed Chen and Denmark's Anders Antonsen. And there's 5 more matches to follow into the evening. Look out for An Se-young in match number 8, continuing her great form this year. And as we make our way all the way through the schedule to match number 10, Lo Kian Yu back in action in men's singles, semi-finalist last time out. He'll be determined to make a good showing here again on home soil. Well, that's the women's doubles draw, an all-Korean clash. We'll see Kim So-young and Kong Hee-young face off with teammates Jung Na-yoon and Kim Hee-jung today. The winner will face the winner from our next match in the quarters tomorrow. Evenly poised between the Koreans are 2 all head-to-head, and so the only guarantee we can make there is that the winners will be from South Korea.
Women's doubles, Chen and Jia Yifan, China.
Chen leading the way, the most accomplished junior doubles player in history with 8 golds at the World Junior Championships. She leads the way with her partner Ji Fan. Aimsaard and Aimsaard, the sisters, not twin sisters, there's a couple of years between them. The sisters from Thailand following them out onto court number 1. Southeast Asian Games silver medalists, the Aimsaard sisters in 2021. A bit younger than their Chinese opponents, who have one of the most impressive CVs in the women's doubles game. So 2-0 reached the head-to-head. The World Tour finals last year in straight games was that win for Chen and Jia.
Your choice. Who will serve? Benyapa will serve too. Saifal will receive which side?
So the pair from Thailand, the sisters, win the toss of the coin and elect to serve. No choice of ends for this one, which is interesting. We'll get to that in a moment. But before we do so, let's take a look at our 2 pairs here. There is Chen, 25 years of age now. And as I mentioned, 8 gold medals at the World Junior Championships, 3 in the mixed team event, 3 mixed doubles, twice women's doubles. One of those was when she was 3 years young, which is quite an impressive feat. World number 1, of course. 129 weeks in total she spent with her partner here, Ji Fan, at world number 1. She's also 25. Slightly taller of the 2. 3 times world champions, these two. 2017 their first. And they took the 2021 and 22 World Championship title as well. Olympic silver medalists at the Tokyo Games. And well, their CV goes on and on and on. Round 1 match against Choi and Woo of Canada. 26 minutes only. And a quarter-final here at the Singapore Open of their best, the Chinese pair. This is Benyapa Aimsaard, the younger of the two sisters. About 5'9" in height, from Bangkok in Thailand. They're currently ranked number 11 in the world rankings, number 7 in the World Tour rankings, importantly, and they were up inside the top 10 5 or 6 months ago. Her older sister, Nuntakan Aimsaard, is 24 years of age. And she's around 5'6" in height. Pretty impressive yesterday against Rina Miyaura and Ayako Sakuramoto. They won the Swiss Open women's doubles event a few months back. So for the Aimsaard sisters to come through in half an hour is very impressive. Gunars Luzveres from Latvia is our chair umpire for this one, and he'll be supported by Shun Saikit from Hong Kong as service judge. So final preparations just about made. Mr. Luzveres from Latvia will get this match underway in just a couple of moments.
Ladies and gentlemen, on my right, Benyapa Aimsaard and Nuntakan Aimsaard, Thailand. And on my left, Fan and Chen, China.
So Benyapa Aimsaard with the opening serve from Thailand. They're in the purple at the bottom of our screen. And, well, it's day 3 here. We're getting used to the drifty conditions out here. I'm very pleased to say that I've got Olympic bronze medalist from England, Chris Langridge, with me in the commentary area here today. Chris, you've played in this arena. It's one of the biggest out here, especially at the 750 level, and yesterday's drift really caused some issues. What are your feelings for how you played in this place?
Yeah, going to be honest, I never played great here, unfortunately. The drift is difficult to contend with, and I would say each court is slightly different just because it kind of swirls. Yesterday we saw some unbelievable, especially on court 1, runs of points. A lot of the matches, there were 5, 6 points where it was just continuous run, where one of the sides, you could just see they were struggling so much with the drift. I mean, we've had 3 very quick points here in this ladies' doubles. It is not easy to move the shuttle around. No one feels comfortable to do it. And it's going to be such a big thing in here, getting the attack, get opponents to lift. Yeah, I mean, 4 very quick points. For ladies' doubles, these first 4 points, I mean, we've had 1 minute. And it's, you know, we've had 4 points, which is incredibly quick.
Yeah, yesterday, as we look down at the screen on this main camera, the drift is with us, going from sort of bottom to the top of the screen, going away from us. But it still looked, to me, to be pretty quick coming the other way too. So quite fast shuttles out here as well. Not a lot of sideways drift on this main court, centre court, but the outside courts I hear, like you say, swirling around. It must be so tricky. I'd hate to play in this sort of environment.
Very quick there. I mean, it's been a tough start for the Thais because they haven't settled at all, and it's 6-love, and you go 6-love down against the best pair in the world. Just makes your job even tougher, and they just need to settle. They need to settle, feel comfortable, and stop this run.
Well, they're off the mark, but yeah, I agree. I mean, how do you contend with such a strong pair as Chen and Fan? They just seem unbeatable at times.
Yeah, I mean, when they're playing well, they are, without a shadow of a doubt, the best in the world. The thing for the Thai sisters, something that they're one of the most improved pairs over the last probably 12 months in almost any category. They are almost every tournament improving. Got to get comfortable. They got to not make cheap mistakes, which you've kind of seen in the first 6 points, especially. The Chinese didn't have to do a great deal to win the point. And I mean, these rallies for ladies doubles are so short and sharp. We're 3 minutes in and we've had 9 points, and it's just because we're not going to have incredibly long rallies in this hall because it is a tricky hall.
Difficult to lift, I think, something Steen Pedersen said yesterday. Would you agree?
Yes, definitely, because when you're lifting, if you did 10 of what you think are the same lifts, the shuttle's not going to in the same part of the court just because the aircon isn't quite true, and by that I mean it's not exactly the same each time. It is a bit swirly, and you know, we haven't really had a yet. And for ladies doubles, out again and again, ladies doubles is the event where generally we have the longest rallies, and we are 3 minutes in, 11 points played, and we haven't really had a rally. And these are two of the best pairs in the whole world.
Right.
And this just shows that you know, the conditions are difficult.
Yeah, good finish there from Ji Fan.
Yeah, really aggressive there in the mid-court. Both Chinese girls holding their position. Not really worried about the Thais going over because it's so difficult to do, and just being aggressive in the mid-court, looking to push forward. Great drive serve.
It surprised me, given the conditions, that on winning the toss, the Thai sisters didn't choose an end. Even if it was, you know, to get themselves off to a good start, or maybe to hope they could go to 3 and start on the poor end, but to not choose an end in such an arena, I mean, it always surprises me. Is that something that you would have done? I mean, is that a key factor for you, or are there more important things to think about?
I would agree. I would say in this hall, that is the key. Serving, returning, generally people would pick if it's a true playing hall, as in if the drift isn't too bad or the visibility is even both sides or something like that. Whereas in this hall, it's more important that you're on a side you feel comfortable on than if you're serving or returning. And I'd say especially in ladies doubles, because the first 3 shots of the rally slightly less pivotal than in men's doubles or even maybe mixed doubles. 11-4, and it was again a run of points. I think it was 6-love, and then almost, you know, kind of then got a bit closer, and then again the Chinese just pulled away. And what with 5 minutes, and you know, as I said, these Thai girls, they are a very, very, very good pair, and they're getting better, you know, each week. But start of that was quite a one-sided affair. The Chinese were just a lot better.
Yeah, it's difficult out here, and like you said, unbelievable 15 points played and just 5 minutes so far. The Chinese world #1 pair off to a great start at 11-4. Flicks a variation again from Ji Fan, very well disguised. I imagine if they are playing into the drift, it might be a little bit easier, given that it's generally quite quick anyway.
I mean, definitely, if you're... Yeah, it's a weapon, because if you're flicking into a drift, the shuttle's not generally going to go out, so you can hit it a lot firmer, and it's so hard to get back, whereas if you're flicking with the drift, it's very hard, because you've got to get it over your opponent, but if it goes obviously too deep, the drift's going to keep taking it, and it's going to go out. And I'd say Ji Fan, she's used the flick incredibly well on the drive serve. I think she's won 3 fairly quick, cheap points from it. And again there, the Chinese, they're not worried about the lift. They're both pushing up, using each other's forehands as well, playing cross-court so that you can set your partner up on the forehand. This one here, cross-court.
Yeah, look how close they are to the front of the court. They're just sitting behind the service line.
Yeah, they don't have to worry about the rear because it's so hard for the Thai girls to actually lift.
Well, it's difficult for the Thais. We can expect them to do a bit better, playing on the better end in the second, I would say. But, I mean, against such strong opposition, who can say? Chen there with a service fault. For me, one of the best juniors we'd ever seen. I've been lucky enough to be at the World Junior Championships a few times. I mean, she was winning World Junior gold medals 2 years young. I mean, that's impressive, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's very, very special. I mean, the rally there, she showed how good she was. I mean, totally dominating there. That skill there, covering it, and even doing a spin. It was almost like a showboating.
All or nothing. That was, yeah, a winner or she was out of position.
I would say the way they've started this this first game look really comfortable. They don't look that bothered about the conditions. I mean, you'd forget how good the Thai girls are. You know, they're an incredible pair.
Yes.
And at the moment, it is a bit of a one-sided affair where the Chinese just look phenomenal. I know they are world #1, but I mean, they're looking incredible.
The Aimsaard sisters, oof, good pick up. And again, the drift.
That's the thing, and it just shows it's so difficult to lift this side, the side that the pair from Thailand are, the sisters. It's so difficult to lift. You said it'll be interesting when they do swap ends, how the Chinese handle it, how they cope.
Yeah, fascinating to see what playing style they adopt, whether they just try and get on the attack. I mean, if they're hitting down with control, you can play with drift, but as soon as you start lifting, Chris, it must be suicide almost.
It's difficult. You almost have to adopt. I mean, look at that. Off return of serve, a lift straight out. And, you know, if anyone's watching and they don't really appreciate badminton, it must be like, well, hold on. How on earth can you lift out? You know, it's a very simple thing. But it's not, because if the lift is short, you're going to get punished. And it's so hard to control the correct power when you've got the drift with you. And again, you know, clearly out. It's almost a foot out. Very calm the way that she left it, but this is the point you just made. When you have the drift with you, you have all the power. So if you can get on the attack and be on balance, you can be dangerous, but they haven't really managed that yet because the Chinese have been so dominant.
Yeah. Yeah, and we're talking about a pair that have got 4 World Tour titles, these sisters. Benyapa's only 20 years of age, but she picked up the Thailand Masters earlier this year. Runner-up in the World Tour finals. That was a repeat of this match. And they lost in straight games to TotalEnergies on that occasion, the back end last year. I mean, I'm not saying there are pairs out there that feel happy playing against TotalEnergies, but it doesn't seem like this particular Thai pair are comfortable.
I would say as well that the Thai girls, they are, as I said, one of the most improved pairs in the world, but their experience isn't the same as the Chinese. And by experience, I mean the amount of times they've played in more difficult halls wouldn't quite be the same just because they're newer onto the tour. They've been around for a fair bit, but not as long as the Chinese. You know, the Chinese have been one of the best pairs in the world for quite some time now. And maybe they're getting exposed a little bit just because the simple unforced errors they made in this first game, they have been considerable.
Oh, well, with service error, that is the game. 21-7 the scoreline. It looks dominant, and to be fair, it is. Helped by the conditions, but very well controlled approach to this opener from Chen and Jie Fan. Off to a good start, off to another great week.
Chen 法组不参与这样自由的运动。
Court 1, 20 seconds. Court 1, 20 seconds.
好。
So as Chen serves to restart game two rather. The first game going the way of the Chinese, perhaps unsurprisingly, but the scoreline to me, somewhat of a surprise. Massively helped by the conditions. Chris, these conditions so obvious, is it something that you can train for? I mean, what do you do? Do you leave the doors open at home? Do you put some ventilation on? I mean, how do you cope with that? For a European, that doesn't have the same problems on a daily basis. I mean, how do you get used to playing in such places?
Yes, it is quite difficult, to be honest, just because it's very hard to recreate these actual conditions. The only thing you can do is adapt the game, and by that I mean almost play with the rear trams out. With the trams out, it's kind of simulating the same thing, because in this, if you've got the drift with you and you're hitting into the back trams, it's actually probably going to go out. But it is hard to recreate that, and this is why, you know, for me personally, I did struggle with a drift this big, just because if you don't practice in those conditions, it's very hard then when you enter the tournament.
Yeah. Yeah, instincts take over. You don't have time to think in some of these rallies. Oh, well, she's controlled that so well, playing with the drift. Ji Fan with the flick serve variation. I mean, I used the word variation, but actually, we've seen her flick quite a lot already in this match.
I would say that flick was much better than I looked, just because even that shot, that is incredibly hard to do.
Yeah.
We're talking, you know, you've got to get it perfect, as in a percentage of power that you're hitting, you need to hit it within a few, you know, numbers. It's got to be that accurate, and the Thai girls couldn't do that at all in the first game, and the Chinese are maybe showing a few more mistakes from the Chinese in this game already. I think 2 unforced errors, but they have shown they can control the shuttle into the back trams.
Yeah, I mean, that's impressive. Chen put that almost on the back line. Just long. Well, again, there, supposedly playing into the drift, but such is the speed of the shuttle out here. That drive long and well judged by Ji Fan. Well, an ace on a short serve. You know one or two things about that, Chris?
Well, yeah. We don't see it often. I think it's just a case of assuming the drift was going to catch it slightly, but I don't think it really did, and it was the perfect serve. And again, 2 in a row. I mean, how often have you... I don't know if I've ever seen 2 low serve aces in a row in my life.
No, I was going to mention it earlier when Ji Fan flicked at the end of game 1. I think it was the Malaysian Masters of a couple of weeks back. On, I think she was 19-10 up. She flicked serve with an ace. And then serving for the match, she did it again and got the ace, and I couldn't believe it. I thought, how are they not reading that, especially on match point? But yeah, for Chen to do it with a short serve, that's pretty special. Can't be that deceptive, surely. I mean, how?
No, it's just a case of hoping, I think, more than anything, that it's going out.
Right.
And this has been we're 16 minutes in, and we're nearly a game and a half. It has been an incredibly quick match. We literally haven't had a rally.
Yes, yesterday, I mean, proved that whilst the rallies weren't that long, as a general rule, most of the games, well, all of mine on in the first session went the distance, 3 games, because of the conditions. You know, they were quite evenly poised matches, and the better player would win on the better end almost every time.
It was the same kind of in the later session, but I think it's a case of the Chinese at the moment are showing, you know, they're that good. I mean, almost perfect at the moment, that even if they're down the bad end, still handle it.
Yeah.
and it was the right shot, but she just caught it all wrong, slightly sliced it and hit upwards, and then in so much trouble.
Well, there's that controlled attack. They're able to do it. I think Thai pair, for me, have got to find a way to not give the Chinese the attack on this end. Because they will hit at you, especially with that speed of the shuttle behind. They can just keep it going down, surely.
Yeah, I think we've not seen the Thai pair at what they can do. No. I think they're just struggling a bit more with the conditions. But if they can find a way of settling in, you know, almost relaxing into the match, then we'll see a totally different pair, I think.
This is better defense.
Yeah.
They coped with Ji Yifan there really well.
That's just
what
brilliant.
a shot.
But that's the thing there, that the Thai girls, that's a normal level that they play at. You know, that was a good rally. But then, even though the Thai girls were doing almost everything right, look at this, just step in, take it early to perfection. Even with the drift, she's playing with the drift there.
Yeah.
If she hits that a fraction harder, that's going to go out just to perfection.
Yeah, superb. The last two shots from, well, one each from the Chinese.
Even a little finger kind of wiggle at the end as well.
11-6, 5 points the gap. And I'd hate to be playing against these two.
Court 1, 20 seconds. Court 1, 20 seconds.
中半场稍微加点力，其实我们球就已经很重了。对。
Missed time from the left-handed Ji Yifan. But they've got a game plan here. It's really easy to see it. You're not seeing them defend much. They'd rather take on the block and follow it in and get the attack back. I think if they had their time again, the Thais may choose a very different style to play on this nearer side of the court. Good leave from Chen.
So far, Chen has not really put a foot wrong. She's barely made any mistakes. She's been creative. She's moved the shuttle around. I mean, she doesn't look bothered about the drift whatsoever.
No.
Even that, realizing the drift's going to keep taking it and it's going to go out. She's been pretty much faultless so far.
Good flick serve once more. Bit loose from Ji Yifan, it's called in. No challenge. Hawkeye on court number 1, getting a bit of a rest today, so far at least. They're so efficient, these two Chinese players. They just seem to choose the right shots so often. Two shots from Chen there, both to the back line, looking comfortable, not worried about that drift at all.
I have to say, out of all the matches I've watched so far, yesterday and obviously this is the first match today, these two Chinese, they're looking the most comfortable in the hall that I've seen. They don't really look bothered by the drift. I mean, they're playing very, very well. They're stopping their opponents from playing.
Yeah.
They've not allowed the tired sisters to settle. They've not allowed them to feel comfortable. We've had one rally, I'd say, really, in this whole match, and that's just because the Chinese have stopped their opponents from settling and feeling comfortable.
Good serve again from Chen.
Well played smash across the body when she stood on her forehand. Well spotted. I mean, yeah, I feel like all I'm doing is saying incredibly nice things about the Chinese, but they're just, you know, they are just playing very, very well.
Well, the return perhaps wasn't the best, especially with the left-handed Ji Fan. I think Chen shadowed the shot and just put her partner off slightly. 16-10 the score. And that's too easy. And again, going flat into a rear corner. I mean, we're not seeing other players do that much. Oh, brilliant from Chen. Oh, she couldn't keep it going, but that block, how quick was she?
Yeah, but that was a great rally from the Aimsaard sisters. I would say they are struggling to return serve the whole match. That's a great turn there, which then, yeah, sets them up.
Yeah.
Good kill.
Chen working hard, but perhaps one she could have left for her partner.
Yeah, I would definitely say that shot wasn't hers, but sometimes when you feel so good, I mean, as I said, she's been so good throughout the match that you want to take everything, but yeah, it's definitely not her shot. She knows that.
Again, the Chinese pair happy to go over the top. Feels like they've got an unfair advantage, as if the court they're aiming at's bigger than their opponents.
And this is quite impressive. I'd say we've had, I mean, we're at the very end of the second game, and the amount of shots the Chinese have hit out the back, I'm not sure they've hit any.
Very few.
And that's
I can't think of any in this game.
Yeah, and that's very, very impressive. Even with the wind, against the wind, whatever, they've just dealt with the conditions incredibly well.
That's gone wide.
I think that's the first unforced error, possibly, that she's made in the whole match.
Superb play. how Chen built that rally to set up her partner.
It's working so well when stepping in here in the block, because making her opponent really stretch, and then it sets up the shorter lift, and then when their opponent's off balance, then Jia can hit the big powerful smash.
Yeah. Match point. And it's gone wide, and it's simply dominant by Ji Fan Chen today. A superb performance, and in these conditions, a really impressive display. Chris, can you see anybody stopping these two this week?
Well, I mean, if they play like that, it's going to be very difficult for anyone to defeat them. They just played very, very, very well. But there's a lot of matches ahead for them.
Well, they're through to a quarter-final. That's their best performance at the Singapore Open, and they've done that twice. They were in the 2016-2017 quarters here. And as I mentioned earlier, it's one for the list for them. So many of the tournaments on the World Tour they've won in the past. They this one. 21-7, 21-13 the score in less than half an hour. Welcome back to the Singapore Indoor Stadium. A fantastic performance from Chen and Jia in the women's doubles just now. We've got men's singles coming up next for you with last year's runner-up, Kodai Narioka. He's taking on the new youngster from India, their new star, Priyanshu Rajawat. We'll take a look at the men's singles draw in this section. Xiu Qi and Liu Guangzhou battle it out in that all-Chinese clash on court 3 later today to decide the fate of who the winner of our next match will be here tomorrow in the quarter-final. Chen and Anders Antonsen also feature in this section of the draw, and that match will be live